I'm not finished with you! I'm not finished with you! I'm not finished with you!
Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 27 of Season 2 NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Old Spice Mobil 1 325 here at Old Spice Raceway, as this is a brand new racetrack to the Marvel Studios Cup Series schedule, and this will be a permanent track on the schedule for the rest of the series' existence. And this is a fantastic road course. I've done a lot of testing on it. There's always a lot of passing going on. Maybe not so much for the lead, but everywhere else there's a lot of passing, and pit strategy will be a big factor. So with that being said, let's take a look at the top 20 of the points coming into the race this week. Chris Michaels extends his points lead to 63 points over David Rivera. Third is Nelson Thornhill. Fourth is Dorian Facepuncher. Fifth is Rafael LeDuc, who is on the pole for today. Rest of the top 10, sixth is Austin LaPlante, seventh Seth Cole, eighth JT Bryant, ninth Nathaniel Reed, 10th Emmanuel Hartnett. Rest of the top 20 include DJ Curtis, Joshua Sekuli, Kev Shearer, Jesse King, Benjamin Miles, Grayson Acevedo, Anthony McCrory, Trent Dunham, Dylan Thoreau, and Dylan Young. So, as far as the top 5 in the points go, they are 86 points between each other. So, guys like Rivera, Thornhill, Facepuncher, and LeDuc are desperately hoping to get a good finish today in hopes that Chris Michaels has a bad run. And speaking of Chris Michaels, let's look at the lineup. Starting in the last row is Matt McIntyre and Chris Michaels. Chris Michaels seems to have some inconsistent qualifying runs as of late. Hopefully he can turn that around in order to get a better run going forward for the rest of the season. Top 10 in the lineup, Rafael LeDuc on the pole for the third time this season. Starting next to him is Joshua Collard. Row 2 is Johnny Gardner and Tim Fiegel. Row 3 is David Rivera, James Shelley. Row 4, Dorian Facepuncher, Dylan Thoreau. And then row 5, Oscar Anderson and Nathaniel Reed. Well, with that said, let's go ahead and get the command to fire your engines for the Old Spice Mobil 1 325 at Old Spice Raceway.
Drivers, start your engines!
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. As the cars are rolling through for their half a pace lap around this track. And yes, this, for those wondering, yes, this track is basically the same Old Spice track from the old EA Sports NASCAR games. Kind of like how Sawmill was several weeks ago. So this is going to be an interesting race because, like I said, early on, there's a bit of moving going on up at the front, but then after a bit it'll kind of simmer down. But everywhere else there is always passing for positions everywhere else. And boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing! Well, that was quite an interesting mishap that happened on that start. Joshua Collard, who was supposed to start second, I guess from what I saw, it looked like he really spun his tires on that start, and it held up a lot of people, and he fell back to fifth. as a result of that. And Rafael Leduc has at the moment, half a second lead over Johnny Gardner, and then a half a second behind him is David Rivera, who a half a second behind him is Dorian Facepuncher. So it's still pretty close throughout a lot of the cars up here at the front, but you can tell it is starting to expand a little bit in terms of how far ahead the leader is. Well, let's see at the line. And not by much, a little over half a second now, Leduc leads. Looking around the field to see if any wrecked cars haven't, or any wrecking has ensued, and none so far. So that's a good thing. Rafael Leduc is trying to go for his second win of his career and of the season. The first time and the last time he won was back at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mosport, earlier this season in a big victory whenever he and Nelson Thornhill fought it out for a position, and somehow, someway, Leduc was able to get around to 78 to win. Originally, we were going to go to Montreal this season, but because after certain tests were done where they just kept wrecking, we decided, or NNSCRA officials decided, that we're not going to Montreal ever again and replace it with this track, Old Spice. And right now, Rafael Leduc has had a steady lead so far in the early going of the race. Johnny Gardner may be conserving a little bit. That or Leduc is just that much quicker than him. But I kind of think to myself that the 15 is kind of trying to conserve a little bit to see what he can do going forward. Meanwhile, for the points leader, Chris Michaels, he's currently 41st on track. Yes, he is 41st. So he's only moved up one spot in this race. So not a good run going so far for the points leader. Margin of lead still is stagnant at 6/10 of a second, 6.5 of a second. So you can tell, I bet Gardner is conserving a little bit, as is Leduc, as after all, they've got a pit at some point in this race for gas and tires. As meanwhile, we may have a battle for third ensuing here in just a few moments. Two of the guys in the top 5 in points, in fact, David Rivera, who's second in points, currently third, and then you got Dorian Facepuncher, who is, I believe he comes in, yes, fourth in the points. He's running in the 4th position right now. He's slowly catching the 6 of David Rivera, and this would be a battle for the 3rd position. Dorian Facepuncher will be returning to that 62 Ring of Honor Ford for Young Motorsports in Season 3. And he's trying to get Young Motorsports their first championship in the Marvel Studios Cup Series. And only it's its 2nd season. Last season, Tanner Sullivan for Joe Gibbs Racing won the title. But Tanner Sullivan isn't back this season. As meanwhile, the lead for Rafael Leduc has grown just a tad bit to now close to 0.8 of a second. But you can see David Rivera and Dorian Facepuncher may be slowly reeling in the 15 little by little, as the 62 maybe is still struggling to figure out how to get around the 6 of David Rivera by going for a bold move. Rafael Leduc has so far led every single lap in this race. Now the lead grows to a little over 0.8 of a second. But it's still really close. And you can definitely tell the 6 of David Rivera and the 62 of Dorian Facepuncher are for sure catching the 15 of Johnny Gardner. Facepuncher got a little bit of a gap closed in right there, but not quite enough at that instant. As we continue to look around the field, as it's pretty much single file throughout much of the field, I think, although there's some some right side damage to JT Bryant. I'm starting to think that might have been from a side-to-side contact with somebody out here. Just don't know who it would have been exactly. But anyways, Johnny Gardner actually gained a few hundredths of a second on Rafael LeDuc. Maybe Gardner feels it's go time to try and catch the 99. As we're around the halfway point, let's do a full field rundown, as nobody's coming into pit road this time. Rafael LeDuc is your leader. Second is Johnny Gardner. Third is David Rivera. Fourth is Dorian Facepuncher. Fifth is Joshua Collard. Sixth is Oscar Anderson. Seventh is Tim Fiegel. Eighth is Nelson Thornhill. Ninth, Dylan Thoreau. 10th, Seth Cole. 11th is Nathaniel Reed. 12th is James Shelley. 13th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 14th, Austin LaPlante. 15th is Anthony McCurry. 16th, Angel Alvera. 17th, Matt Haas. 18th is Joshua Sakuli. 19th, JT Bryant. 20th, DJ Curtis. 21st, Jessica Sheldon. 22nd is Zach Rogers. 23rd is Phil Parker. 24th, Mark Lane. 25th is Chris Dollarton. 26th is Jesse King. 27th, Andrew Rich. 28th, Trent Dunham. 29th is Kev Shearer. 30th is Dylan Young. 31st is Sean Galligan. 32nd is Carson Gum. 33rd is Preston Plord. 34th, Grayson Acevedo. Now Charles Sanford. 36th is James Qualls. 37th is Zachary Fitzwater. 38th, Matt McIntyre. 39th, Dylan Poteet. 40th is Chris Michaels. And then 41st is Jonathan Zorline. And then somewhere around here is Benjamin Miles, a lap down, as I'm trying to see where he is. There he is. I think he came into pit road. Yeah, I think he went in the pit road, and that's why he's a lap down. But anyways, the margin up here at the front between the top two continues to shrink. Johnny Gardner, it's just little by little, but he is catching the 99. It's just not by very much. They're running close lap times together. But I do think it's all going to come down to whenever they come into pit road, because they have to pit soon for gas and tires. Nobody's coming in up front in the field around this time. Doesn't look like anybody's coming into pit road just yet. And I think I may have figured out who JT Bryant got side contact with, and it's Trent Dunham, because he also has right side damage. So it looked like they may have slammed into each other to the point where they got some damage. But back up here at the front, now LeDuc's lead's starting to grow just a tiny bit. Now it's to 0.76 tenths of a second. And now LeDuc's going to risk the lead to come into pit road. So LeDuc going to sacrifice the top spot on track to come into pit road. As we got a brand new pit cam right here. So this gives us a good shot as to who's coming into pit road. And it looks like it's only LeDuc that's coming into pit road. From the looks of it, yeah, it is only LeDuc. So Rafael LeDuc risks the lead to go into pit road, and he was the only one to go in. So I don't know, this could really shake up the lead. But now here comes Gardner, Rivera, Facepuncher. Is everybody coming in this time? Oh, we got a few people staying out. Seth Cole's staying out. Benjamin Miles going to try and stay out. Same with Nathaniel Reed, James Shelley. Quite a lot are staying out, but quite a lot are in pit road. So this is really going to make things interesting as to who's going to be your race leader. And there's Rafael LeDuc. When we come to the line, it will be 3 to go. It's right now 4 to go. as Gardner gets out ahead first of this group of cars. Oh, but I heard some wall scrapings. It might have been from people going into pit road and scraping the wall, and I think that's just what happened to Gardner. And LeDuc manages to get around both of them, and here comes David Rivera with a run on the ends, with a run on Johnny Gardner, and Dorian Facepuncher trying to enter the fray as well. Excuse me. But this isn't the fight for the lead right now. We're now getting everybody else who has not pitted, and I think there was some contact happening. People trying to get into their pit stalls. And Seth Cole's coming out ahead. Seth Cole comes out first of the second group of cars, but he loses the lead, and I think the lead, yep, officially cycles back to Rafael LeDuc. So Rafael LeDuc has the race lead again. And David Rivera now up to second. Gardner, who'd been second all day, is back to third. Although that strategy for Seth Cole played out a little bit well, he's now to sixth. He was around 11th for most of the day as Benjamin Miles is on pit road again. Looking around the field to see where everybody is at right now. But since we're coming to the line here, it's 3 to go. Let's take a look and see how the field looks now. Rafael LeDuc leads. Then it's, whoa, there we go. Then it's David Rivera in second. Third is Johnny Gardner. Fourth is Dorian Facepuncher. Fifth is Oscar Anderson. Sixth is Seth Cole. Seventh, Joshua Collard. Eighth, Nelson Thornhill. Ninth, Tim Fiegel. 10th, Austin LaPlante. 11th is Emmanuel Hartnett. 12th, Nathaniel Reed. 13th, Angel Alvera. 14th, Matt Haas. 15th, Joshua Sakuli. 16th, Anthony McCurry. 17th, Dylan Thoreau. 18th, Phil Parker. 19th, Mark Lane. 20th is James Shelley. 21st is DJ Curtis. 22nd, Jesse King. 23rd is Zach Rogers. 24th, Andrew Rich. 25th, Kev Shear. 26th, Chris Dollarton. 27th, Preston Blord. 28th, Dylan Young. 29th, Carson Gum. 30th is Sean Galligan. 31st, Matt McIntyre. 32nd, Charles Sanford. 33rd is Chris Michaels. 34th, James Qualls. 35th, Grayson Acevedo. 36th, Jessica Sheldon. 37th, Dylan Poteet. 38th is Zachary Fitzwater. 39th, Jonathan Zorline. 40th, JT Bryant. 41st, somewhere is Trent Dunham. And then a lap down is Benjamin Miles, as Rafael LeDuc still leads the way over David Rivera. And now we're getting ready to come across the line to take the white flag. White flag is out for Rafael LeDuc, trying to go for win number 2 this season and his second on a road course. He won back at Canadian Tire earlier this season. David Rivera trying to give everything he's got to catch up to his teammate. I don't think he's going to have enough time to get to him, though. He did gain a 1/10 of a second on the last lap, but I don't think that's going to be enough. And now we're getting ready to come through to the final hairpin, to the apex hairpin here to conclude this race. And I see the checkered flag starting to wave. Second career win. Rafael LeDuc wins the Old Spice Mobil 1 325 at Old Spice Raceway. What a performance by that 99 team. Comeback after last couple weeks of tough finishes, fell to 5th in points, comes through with the victory. And he should definitely gain a lot of points on the points lead going into the next race. But let's look at the rest of the results. David Rivera, great finish in the second position. That's going to help him close in on the points lead as well. Johnny Gardner with a great run in third, and that, depending, I think he could end up back in the top 30 in points. But it's going to be very, very close. But anyways, a great run in fourth for Dorian Facepuncher, so he's going to gain a lot on the points lead. And the highest finishing rookie was Oscar Anderson in fifth. 2 straight top 5 finishes for that 82 car. Seth Cole with a great run in the 6th position. Joshua Collard with a solid run in 7th. He could also potentially end up in the top 30 in points again. Nelson Thornhill with a great run in 8th. He's going to gain a lot on the points lead as well. Tim Fiegel with a solid run in 9th and then a great run in 10th for Austin LaPlante. Rest of the top 20 was Emmanuel Hartnett, Nathaniel Reed, Angel Alvera, Matt Haas, Joshua Sekuli, Anthony McCurry, Dylan Thoreau, Mark Lane, Phil Parker, James Shelley. Rest of the top 30 was DJ Curtis, Jesse King, Zach Rogers, Andrew Rich, Kev Shearer, Chris Dollarton, Preston Blord, Dylan Young, Carson Gum, and then Sean Galligan. The rest of the top 40 was Matt McIntyre, Charles Sanford, Chris Michaels, James Qualls, Grayson Acevedo, Jessica Sheldon, Dylan Poteet, Zachary Fitzwater, Jonathan Zorline, JT Bryandon. The last car in the lead lap was Trent Dunham, and then one car was a lap down, and that was Benjamin Miles in the 21 car at last. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this race here at Old Spice. Next week, we head to a brand new restrictor plate track, Bermuda Superspeedway at the Bermuda Triangle. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Bermuda. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.